All right, let's talk about one of the most terrifying villains ever put to paper. But this isn't just another bad guy profile. We're going to peel back the layers and find something ancient. A story you've heard 1,000 times, the deal with the devil. Except, in this version, the devil isn't what you expect at all.
Okay, so let's dive right into the evidence. What you're looking at is a classified post-mortem dossier. The subject? Designated KM01, and trust me, this is way more than just some file. This is the official record of a being who had the power of a god, and the deeply human, absolutely terrifying reasons he had to be put down.
And yeah, a post-mortem of a god, literally. We're not talking about some comic book fantasy here. We're actually digging into the psychological autopsy of a being with near-total power. This is an anatomy of evil, plain and simple.
But here's where it gets really interesting. For all its modern trappings, this story, it's ancient. It's an echo of something we've been telling ourselves for centuries. So that's our big question today. How does the downfall of this god map onto one of the oldest cautionary tales we have? Let's get into it.
All right, first up, we need to get a handle on who or what we're actually profiling. This isn't a villain with some big, world-changing ideology. No, his evil wasn't political, it was pathological. It came from somewhere deep inside.
The summary here is just chilling. Threat level Omega. Now, that basically means end-of-the-world level threat. But check out the primary driver. It's not a desire for conquest, it's a pathological ego. An ego built to cover up a massive, trauma-based inferiority complex. Think about that. The power of a god fused with the psyche of a broken, wounded child. Terrifying.
Look at this list of capabilities. Superhuman everything. Flight, energy blasts, telepathy, the whole god-tier package. But here's the thing. The powers themselves? That's not what made him so dangerous. The real threat was that he was using them in a total moral vacuum. No brakes, no conscience, no rules. Just raw, unchecked power.
So how do you get a monster like that? Well, you have to look at the person he was before. Or really, the traumatized kid that was always hiding right under the surface.
And this, right here, this is the whole story. On one side, you've got Johnny Bates, a scared, orphan 13-year-old kid, a total victim. And on the other, Kid Miracle Man. Absolute power, absolute cruelty. You see what's happening? The super being isn't an upgrade. It's a defense mechanism, a sick, twisted way to take all that pain and self-hatred and just aim it at the rest of the world.
Okay, so that's the who. But what about the how? How does a broken kid become that? A walking apocalypse? Well, the dossier lays out the whole horrifying process.
It's like a 4-step spiral into hell. Step 1, the engine. All that trauma from his childhood just festers. It turns into this deep, intense self-loathing. Step 2, he can't stand himself, so he projects that feeling onto everyone else. He develops a profound contempt for all of humanity. Step 3, after years of being able to do anything, he gets bored. And what cures boredom for a sadist? Violence becomes a game. And the final step? You let that cycle run for almost 20 years with zero consequences, and you get a total, catastrophic, moral collapse.
And if you want proof of his contempt for people, just look at how he used his telepathy. He didn't use it to gather intel or outsmart his enemies. No, he used it as a weapon of pure psychological terror. He would literally crawl inside people's minds just to feel their fear, to poke at their insecurities. It was the ultimate violation, erasing any line between him and his victims.
Philosophically, you could say he was a total failure. He had godlike power for nearly 2 decades, the potential to create, to change, to build a new world, but he never did. He couldn't get past his own petty human flaws. He was completely, utterly trapped by the trauma of that little boy he used to be.
Okay, so now let's get to the heart of this. We've seen the psychological profile of this failed god. Now let's see how it lines up almost perfectly with a story that's been around for centuries.
So let's just do a quick refresh on the basics. The Faustian bargain, right? It's the classic story, you make a deal with the devil. You trade your soul, the most important thing you have, for something here on Earth. Power, money, you name it.
So, that's the big question, isn't it? If Kid Miracle Man's story is a Faustian bargain, where the heck is the devil? There's no Mephistopheles whispering in his ear. There's no contract signed in blood. So what gives? What sealed this particular deal?
And this is the absolute core of the whole thing. This is a modern Faustalian tale, where science takes the place of the supernatural. The devil? He's replaced by a corrupt scientist, Dr. Gargunza. The formal diabolical pact? That's replaced by scientific deception. And the most important part, the thing that corrupts him, isn't some outside temptation. It's his own internal festering trauma. So the price he pays isn't his soul for eternity, it's his sanity, right here, right now.
And just like any deal with the devil, this one had a catch. There's always a price. There's always a foreclosure on the deal, and this one was absolutely tragic.
The fine print on this deal wasn't in a contract. It was coded right into his DNA. The price of all that power was a backdoor, a kill switch, and it was tied to his biggest weakness, his very human ego. A single trigger word, Miracle Man, and poof, all that power would just vanish.
So you see, the pact wasn't spiritual, it was linguistic. It was a word. And the damnation wasn't in eternity in some fiery pit. It was the complete shattering of his mind.
In the end, well, it was brutal. Absolutely final. Once that trigger word was spoken, he was turned back into that scared 13-year-old boy. And then the hero had to kill him. It was awful, a truly tragic act, but it was seen as a kind of mercy, and the only way to guarantee that the monster would never, ever come back.
So where does all this leave us? For centuries, the stories we told ourselves were about a devil from the outside, coming to tempt us, coming for our souls. But what this story shows us is something different, something scarier maybe. The real devils are science without a conscience and trauma that we let fester in the dark. We've learned how to engineer our own damnation. We don't need a Mephistopheles anymore. And that leaves us with a pretty terrifying thought, doesn't it? What's scarier, a devil who comes for your soul, or the one we build ourselves?